See, the way they work is a pattern. It started way back with Hiram Abiff, but I'll go to a story you'd better understand. The story goes back to Jesus. The format that the devil uses, the physical devil. Who's the physical devil? The physical devil, I mentioned y'all many times in Genesis chapter 3, right? When they speak about, which is verse 15, when they speak about the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. I made it very clear, and I left it there. I said, that says that the devil has children, seed. The same word zip is used. Same word as Eve. So then it's Eve's children through Adam, Cain, which is supposed to be Cain and Abel, called it that. And then there's the devil's seed. Okay? Say, okay. Now, then we have another character in the same chapter, and he's called the what? The serpent. He's considered a seed-bearing creature, a reptilian, right? So, could the flood kill him? No. Because as a reptilian, or a leviathan, or a sea creature, the rain don't bother him at all. He just went under the waters after the flood. So after the flood was over, they were reptilians still walking around. Even who could talk? Obviously, because according to them, he was a reptilian and a tree, a serpent, and was able to speak with a whisper, if for anything else. So those children exist. Those are the devil's children. Right now, Cain, on the other hand, what does he do? Let's tie that in. Cain goes over to a land where these children live at, and because he, according to them, because they don't believe in Aklima and Labuda, according to them, he took a wife out of the land of Nod. Well, the only people that can live after the flood were serpent people, because that's the only people who wouldn't have drowned. Then he married a wife. He married a reptilian. All throughout history in Egyptology, in Sudanese culture, Islamic culture, even in the Sumerian culture, they speak about Dagon, the fish man. It's a well-known thing that everybody speaks of. Ogon. I'm giving you a briefing on that. That's the whole foundation of Christianity and the Pope. They're all into worshiping that family of sea people that survived the flood. Yeah? So then that means Cain went and married a reptilian. Now reptilians are mixed in the human blood. You follow? And able to walk and talk among us, just like human beings, and survive the flood, like that family that survived. Now Noah or Nephishtim, whatever name they want to use, survived predominantly because he was in a ship. But the reptilians didn't need a ship to survive. You follow? They mixed in with the daughters of men, and they created these mighty beings. These mighty beings walk among us today. The sons of Cain and the serpent. They look like human beings. This is sad for us. I don't know if I'm one of the things. Sad thing about it is much. It was so important. I should say it was so important for people to stay in tribes before. And it was, said, marry your own kind, stay amongst yourself. But see, the devil has a doctrine too. He said, if you marry too close, something's wrong with your genes. So we, at one time in Africa, and Egypt, you'll find they married cousins, first cousins. They kept things in the blood. That's the only way they knew I'm not marrying a reptilian, I'm marrying the same blood. But if someone came, like the Hittites came into Egypt, and Ramesses married two Hittite women, and tied the Hittite Canaanite gene, which are part reptilian, right into the vine. Then don't forget Hamath, which was his son, right, who was dark, also ties in the dark-skinned people, Hamath, the 11th son of Cain, with reptilians. So it could be coming out your father. It could be coming out your mother. It could be coming from your grandfather. He might have been from the reptilian seed. You know what I'm saying? But then it's about how powerful the God seed in you, the Netir seed in you is to dominate. The Apap, they call it seed. They call it Apap seed. Right? Which later became Saint and the sea man and the fish man and science and the sea man. Something that gets discussed in the Wasset Lodge. Right? We're not here. Right? But it confirms that there are beings here that are disagreeable walking with us. Talking with me and you. Wearing feathers. Because they make it their business to get in amongst man, because that's how they sustain themselves. We got to the point where we're laying eggs. Women have eggs now. Right? So, When I say we're laying eggs, which is bacon, I should have just removed the word lay. Right? Because lay is what tricks you. Because if a baby is shaped inside the womb of a woman, and he's inside of a shell, like we explained the other night, right? Then he's inside of an egg. When an egg comes out of a hen, it's not hard, it's soft. You're thinking of the egg you see in the store. It comes out soft, and when the egg hits it, it hardens. Or when the woman's sac is removed, that placenta hardens, just like an egg. So that baby is actually inside of an egg, inside the womb of a mother. The only things born out of eggs are reptilians. And but Ra was born out of an egg, whose proper name was Re. Have you learned the science of the primordial egg? This is where the Tamil gets the Ra, Re, symbolize the sun.
Egyptians believed that this universe began with a mound which rose from the waters of chaos. That idea came from the annual inundation of Egypt, when, as it was receding, mounds rose above. You had water all around them. According to legend, a lotus grew out of the primordial mound, and from that lotus emerged the sun god, and from the sun god all creation.
This is where he gets his concept of the goose that laid the golden egg. The golden egg is the sun, and the goose was supposed to be Ra's male. It's right. The goose is supposed to represent the primordial mother of all things, of all nature. And that's why each one of the Egyptian deities, when you study them, you read their names, Geb, this is also Set, Keb, represents one of the elements. You probably say happy, the deity was a male body with breasts and female hips and everything. That's the key of the hermaphrodites and hermaphrodites, which is the fertility symbol, which also came down in one temple in Ifsu temple, right in Thebes, came up where Osiris said, I am the male and the female, right? And he was talking about the power of the deity called Hapu or Hapi, right? And you'll see, you look up, you'll see these things. But these people all related back to what? Coming out of the primordial seas, out of the water, they said. They gave us three principles. They are the so-called highest scientists of the netir. When it becomes plural, it becomes netiru. Singular, just netir. The highest principle was three. The science of all triads and existence. You need it. Right? And they came out to be three rays. And I explained last time. It's Atum-Re, Atum-Re, and Amun-Re. Those are the three highest sciences. All right, according to, as you study in the Egyptian mysteries. And they were responsible for germinating the seeds, and Amun was the seed, the last seed, amen, right? Where they use his semen to plant on earth. And we get Shu, Tifnut, when we deal with breath. See, Shu is wind or breathing. And Tifnut, and then Tifnut is moistness, which is the system. They talk about the water. When they talk about the primordial water of chaos in ancient Egypt, they're talking about inside the woman and inside the man. The two firmaments in mystical sciences are the two forms of water in the human body, the two forms of liquid, which is the circulatory system and the lymphatic system. Right? And that's why they say the chaos in the woman of the ancient Egyptian, they say they lived the water where the chaos where all life came out of. Well, that's because the chaos begins the minute the man, mammal, ejaculates the reptilian. See, when he sets the reptilian into motion, which is a sperm cell, which is a tadpole with a tail, a sea creature, the chaos starts as they race for the ovum. That's why they call it in ancient Egyptian the chaotic seas that was taking place in triple darkness. Three stages again. Inside the womb of the mother, as the sperm is rushing, all these sperm cells, we see them, they're like chaotically racing. You ever see the picture of it? Racing to get to the egg first, and the first one or first two that make it, twins, or that's how the germination takes place. And then it's closed around them, and then the three other stages take place in the womb. That is the tadpole all into the grape, and and then on into the human being, the hairy creature. Because when you was in the womb as a grape, you didn't have any hair on your body. That's why they would say you see the babies, they have big eyes, raised body, and no hair. Well, if you look inside and check pictures of a woman, a baby, you see he's in there gray. Because the sun hasn't hit him yet to change his pigmentation into color, and his melanin couldn't be activated. He was inside water. Well, I take your hand right now and soak it in water and keep it in there for, I don't have to wait 9 months. All the brown would disappear. Your hand turns gray. You ever see it? Your hand starts turning gray. That's what you look like. And your pupils would dilate because you'd be in darkness, right? So you'd be just black eyes. You wouldn't have a little black dot in the iris, and then a brown or a hazel. You'd have one big black eye, which they refer to as the iris, which is what the word Re or Ra really means. The iris of the eye, the circle. All of these were symbolic meanings. You may wonder, why are we talking about that at this point? Because in the Nuwaupu school of thought, you're now moving to another level. I told you I'd take you all through levels of learning. You're now getting ready to go into this mystical meaning of the mystery schools of ancient Egypt. You're moving to a higher level, where information, where instead of me saying Anunnaki, I'll say Neptune. Instead of me saying Naya, I'll say Natia. Instead of me calling myself Malachi, I'll call myself Atum-Re. It's another school. You got to move at a school. But that's all part of the transformation period of degrees of learning. You know, got many degrees. You actually have 9 degrees, you know, but all it's subdivided, you know, except 20. And you're past a lot of it on the fundamentals. But now you got to go into the meanings and the mysteries of life, the real purpose of who you are and what you are and why you're here. And that may not be as nice as you like to hear the truth, but it's the secret that's been kept sacred for so long about man. And man has been given the illusion that he is such a grand creature and that he's a warm-blooded, compassionate, caring animal, you know, not even an animal because he refuses that title also. He gives himself a new title. It's a human being, so it sounds close enough to the supreme being, and it makes him feel that he's all right because he's in the image and after the likeness of God. He just never told him what God, right? He never told him how he's in the image and after the likeness of God if he doesn't do godly things. He said, well, he'll say, well, I give charity, that's a godly thing. No, it's not. That's a chain of life thing. You give charity. What do you mean by that's a chain of life? Make the chain of life simpler. Something eats mosquitoes. And mosquitoes bite you. So if you could eliminate all the mosquitoes on the planet, would you? Yeah, but you would throw off equilibrium. The whole balancement of the universe would go out. Because everything is linked in a chain of mutation from every insect, every sea creature. There's something in every species that look like something else. In other words, there are fish that look like birds. And there's insects that look like snakes, and snakes that look like insects, and snakes that look like they can walk without legs. If you see, there's a prototype or an evolutionary stage through everything, as if everything is one long string, and they say chain because they want to assume that it had been broken at one point. Right? And there's a missing link. So they game. But the alteration of the chain of life stopped when you and I became intelligent enough to move into an environment where we couldn't be eaten. You see, we die by gunshots, old age, sicknesses, and diseases. But we belong in an environment where we could be eaten. The same way the chicken belongs in an environment where it can be eaten. In the same way the bat preys upon the mosquito. And the mosquito goes towards the light. Because the light is warm at night. And the bat can't see, so he won't get blinded as he goes towards the mosquito. Who arranged that? Some intelligence set this system up so that everything on the planet would grow properly. But when the planet was thrown off its axis, everything got thrown off. Okay, so in view of the fact that pieces of the chain of life have been snatched out by us, that after the planet shifted, right, we changed. We became no longer dependent upon our superiors, our gods, our Neteru, our Anunnaki. We started going for self. It became a law of survival. And we broke away from the order and ran and set up tribes. Moved into the woods, moved into anyways, now we move, of course, into cities. Right? We moved and set up little, what they refer to as communities. And we arrived with new ways of surviving. In other words, if I'm not going to go where bears at because I can't beat a bear. I'm not going to roam if I'm in Kenya where lions are because I can't beat a lion. Now I roam where ostrich are because I can beat an ostrich and I can eat him. So I then came up with weapons of destruction. But I said they were not for destruction when I was using them. They're for hunting, for food. And then the hunting shift from hunting food to defending myself because me and my tribe were better hunters than you. So we had more food than you. And y'all was doing bad, so y'all said, hell, why should we hunt? We just go over there and take their food. And tribal war starts. And man starts fighting each other. You follow what I'm trying to say? Well, what happens is, when we move out of the woods, where we're supposed to be accessible to the lions, and supposed to be accessible to the bear, or whatever animals that we interfere with the whole ecology of the planet. Because, this may sound crazy, because the human is not in the defecation of the animal to make certain plants grow. You understand? Because manure is what makes the planet grow. And if human is supposed to be a part of what's in the manure of animals to make certain plants grow. But they're not. So certain animals that depended on that, what happened? They died off. And they call them mythological creatures and write them off. Say, oh, this mythological mermaid is a mythological creature. There's no such thing as a mermaid. They make sure there's no traces of a mermaid, but time proves that it is, because we know that people now, you have gills. You was in a sack of water for 9 months, breathing water before you came here. And the atmosphere is moist. And if you don't have this moist atmosphere, you'll dehydrate. If you don't drink a certain amount of water or liquids and bathe and merge yourself in water, tub or shower, and how you're obsessed with making love on the beach or going in romantic or going to the beach or the swimming pool and just merging under the water for some reason you feel quite comfortable there. Well, if you took your hand and held it right in front of your face, right, and moved it straight at yourself, you'd have what's called impact. Correct? All right. Trees grow upwards. They're not square. They're round. Why? Well, when the seasons change and the winds come, they're shaped aerodynamically so that the wind would be hitting a flat mass. Otherwise, the first windstorm would flatten all the trees. They're made round so that the wind could move around them, and the stronger trees with the strongest roots will survive, and the weaker ones will crack off and die, crush down, become soil for a regrowth. Everything that nature creates, nature don't create square mountains. It creates aerodynamic mountains. They're shaped like this. So wind can come, go up, and increase speed to come down and be a tidal wave or pull some pollen to another area to germinate it. So it carved the shape of things. Okay? So nature sends things in a direction against air or wind aerodynamically so it doesn't meet with resistance. Again, I said, if you take your hand and assume your hand is the air, if it comes directly at your face, it meets resistance. It hits a flat surface. This is why when you're walking and it's real breezy, most of us who lived up north at one time know that, you have a tendency to do this. You don't do like this. You tuck your head down. You know, because aerodynamically, the way your nose is shaped, and the curvature of your head, top part of your head, the curvature of here, this way this comes down, the way it passes your nose, or then you say, well, aerodynamically you'd be moving this way. How are your eyelashes shaped? Do they curve straight? Do they go straight out? Well, if they were supposed to catch things coming at you this way, like your mouth, they should have your eyelashes would be this way. So that when something comes, it goes and locks it up. Your eyelashes are this way. For the two directions you should be traveling in. So if I'm traveling this way and dirt comes to get into my eye, it'll catch it. That's why your eyelashes are shaped this way. Because I should be moving this way. And this way, because I can move in the opposite direction. But they're not like this, which they should be. And that's made clear by your mouth. Your teeth are made like this, so that food won't fall out. Well, now, only time food falls out your mouth is when you're talking that and your grandmother said, boy, girl, stop talking at the table and I'm going to slap you in the mouth. Close your goddamn mouth. Right? So human beings should be moving this way. Why? We have wings. We swim. We flew. Because when anything is in this atmosphere that is flying is actually swimming. And if you've ever been on a plane and you look over, you see water on the wings. While this plane is moving through air, as you look over, you see actual water passing the wing. Because in the atmosphere, we're dealing with water. We're calling it air, but it's nothing but a gaseous form of water. So we are actually still breathing water. We don't have enough liquid in our lungs. We dehydrate or our lungs collapse and you're dead. Hear that? So now we have disrupted the order of things. We have thrown off the natural order by not being available to be some other creature's food the way other animals will come in your camp. Rabbits will hop through your... the deer will walk right up. If we stay there long enough, the deer will walk up, you know. Like... and you take your bone out, boom, and then the next thing you know, he's on a... what do they call those things? A rotisserie. In a rotisserie even. You follow? So, nature, Gaia, called by many, is quite upset with us. The ancient Egyptian name for earth was Tanin. T-A-N-E-N. T-A-N-E-E-N. Sounds familiar because you heard the word Tanin for dragon in the Torah. Sea creature. The question should be, why is it being called the earth when it's predominantly water? Why would you be identifying it with the dry land when the land mass is a fraction of the water? And then they say we have the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean, and they're all connected. There's no different oceans. They're all one mass of water. The land masses have been divided only by the fact that some are underwater, so you don't see the connection. There's no separation between America and Africa. If you went out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean between America and Africa and went down, what would you go up with? You hit soil. So that means the soil is there, And the two land masses come up, and they call them surface. There's no such thing as land, Africa versus Asia versus India. It's all one. There's no oceans. I'm saying that to say the first lies and our acceptance of them makes us vulnerable for the second, third, fourth, and fifth lies, and how easily we'll begin to accept them. When they're now curbing the way our mind would grow by information that is here that we as animals on the planet should understand. Deer know how to function in the woods. Birds know how to fly, where to land, where not to land. You've never seen a bird land on a branch and hold its weight. You know, never. They know. They just look down and calibrate. That won't hold me. They won't do it. They've never seen land fall on the ground. They won't do that. We sit on chairs. This can't hold us. If all other animals have figured out or have that ability, then what is wrong with us? We are out of calibration. We are out of alignment with our own nature. That means we're not thinking properly. We have been maimed to the point where we are not even conscious of our own weight. You don't know how high you can jump. So when you jump, you attempt to always jump higher. Playing basketball, you see a net. You look at the height of the net. You say, I can dunk that. You run and you don't do it. You say, hell, I can do it. Come back again, get the ball, run, and you still miss. You say, if I keep doing this, I'll get it. No. If you keep doing it, the running will develop the muscle strength. Eventually, the muscle strength will give you the power to do it. You missed it the first time because you were incapable of calibrating. But your body said, hell, he's going to keep doing it unless we step in and give him a little more muscle. So he steps back 10 feet, so you know what you do? The second time you run, what do you always do? You go back a little further. Your legs said, do that, so by the time you get there, we'll be a little stronger. If I get you to do this 5 or 6 times, maybe somewhere between now and next year you might dunk the ball. And then you can go on to the next adventure of your human failures. Yes?
Since you brought that up, I noticed like people in Boston when they drive, that when you're going down the road, they almost run you over. Now, they didn't used to do that though. It seems you say calibrate off your axis or whatever. So when they drive, they almost run into you on your side of the road. It's like, why are you so close to me? You know, and it's like it's more and more.
People are sick. Now, this is what I've been teaching for the last couple of weeks. Everybody here is already sick. You've already been poisoned. You've already messed with the water and the food. And worst of all, they mess with the mind. When you mess with the mind, that's the thing you really need to see. Everybody here is having headaches. We spoke about before. Everybody's having nausea problems. Everybody's having problems with the food that they like. They desire it, and then when they get it, as you're eating, you seem like you can't put it away. Your body seems like it's, you know, you can put the food in front of you and you just start eating and you can't finish the food. It's something you used to eating. You know, before you ate 4 slices of bread, now you're eating a slice and a half and can't figure out why your appetite is gone. Well, people lose their appetite when they get sick. You got this mucus in there, this metal taste in the back of your mouth is there. You know, trying to figure out what this thing is. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's teeth are starting to bother them. Because the teeth are hooked to the nerve system, and that's in the blood system. The blood is the thing that's messed up. The blood is the life source. Eyes are starting to bother. Eyes are starting to itch. You know what I mean? You're starting to have problems. Because you were supposed to be, bear with me now, you were supposed to be a part of the earth. Not like an insect walking around on the scalp of the earth. Let me say that again. Instead of what we do, we're the bug walking on the scalp. It never penetrates the soul of the body. The insect or gnat that lives in the hair of the dog, and on the surface of the dog, within the hair, the woods of its mane, or whatever, never knows about the heart and the emotions and the bloodstream, and the circulatory system, and the respiratory system, so it can't reconcile that it's a living thing. Because it lives in its powers. You follow? We, as a part of the earth, were supposed to always stay in tune with the earth. But we have separated ourselves, and now like an insect, we are walking on the surface of the earth. And we're not in tune with the fact that she has emotions, and a respiratory system, and a circulatory system. She gets blackheads or boils, and they're called volcanoes. She gets zits, mountains swell. You know what I'm saying? She has all the sicknesses that a human being gets, because she has a circulatory system and a respiratory system, because the planet Earth contracts and expands. And anything that's contracting and expanding is basically breathing. She has moods, 4 basic moods. We call them climatic changes. And females are in tune with the 4 basic moods of the woman in relation to the 4 positions of the moon. Now, men would like to believe that the moon is less than the sun. But let me tell you, you couldn't live on this planet with just the sun and no moon. You wouldn't make it. It would overheat. You need the moon to cool down the planet and pull the tide. Otherwise, the planet would overheat. Though the moon is smaller than the sun, it's more important than the sun at certain times, meaning at night. If there was no sun, appears to set and goes behind, and these are shadow areas, as we call it, rather than say darkness. A shadow area, and the moon provides that light. You follow that? And because that moon is reflecting the light of that sun, then it also sends down a small amount of heat. But it keeps it balanced, so you get what they call a moonlit, beautiful night. See, it's just nice. It's not hot. It's not cold. That's balance. We were part of this system. Our system worked with this system of things. And they separated us from this and turned us into human animals. Turned us then from human animals into pets. You know what? You know, I've heard say, most people have a dog say, you know that dog thinks he's human. My dog acts so, or my cat acts so, she thinks he's human. That's how the reptilians' children, which is one people, which are the Caucasoid ones, and then the Canaanites, or Canaanites' children, who mixed in with them, which are black devils. You follow? Those black devils become their pedigree pets. And those black devils as pedigree pets try to be like their master. And that's why niggas try to be like white folks. Because they have first made you an animal. They reduced you to an animal by depriving you of all your divinity and divinity principles, the thing which is self-determination. Step 1. As we talked about last time. They say you have free will. You don't have free will. Do you? No. You've been there. Like they say in this country, you have freedom of speech. They say you have freedom of religion. But then they'll call you a cult. Like there's grace. They'll say, he says he's Jesus. And he's a cult. Let's go burn him up. So you don't have freedom. They say, oh, you have the right to bear arms. And they say, but you have to get a permit for me to do it. You don't have all these things. You in actuality are someone's pet. And the only pets they like are the ones that try to be like them. Your dog is real. My dog is like a human being. Come here. Watch this. Then what they do them next? They dress him. Put on human clothes. Then they'll start feeding the dog human food. You won't eat dog food. You'll get sirloin steak. They'll take the dog to a barber shop. They'll take the dog to a beauty parlor. They got dog hotels, dog resorts, dog training camps. A dog. They'll kiss the dog. All in the mouth. Yeah. Sleep with the dog in their bed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lady she brought a picture in and showed everybody, and she said, oh, I didn't mean for that picture to get in there, and it was a picture of her dog laying up on her bed.
No, but in that movie when I'm married, one of the women are going to do something so disgusting, you're just going to go, ugh. But I'll leave it for you. You remember that. You saw it. All right, years ago, how can you do that? beggars are the pets. They try the most to be like the master. And they'll give them a suit of clothes and let them eat a little better. They'll give them a better job than you. And they'll even sleep with them. Oh, you know, they have a white wife. The black brother from Ghostbusters, he got a white wife. You know, they'll give you one of them there. They'll allow you to sleep with the master. It's a thing, but they first have to reduce you from a god to an animal. And the hardest thing in the world you may find teachers is trying to convince niggas that they're gods. I ain't no god. Ain't but one God, Jesus. Ain't but one God. Allah. Muhammad was fool to learn. You know? Can't say it right. You like niggas. You know what I'm saying? And they will fight you about their divinity. I mean, they will wrestle with you like Jacob. You know, an angel. And you can't get through. Because that is the wake-up process. The realization process, because when you become conscious that you're God, your outlook on mortals and animals and life and nature changes. You become a responsible creature, capable of responding. Right now, you people are waiting for people to say something to you. I mean, you just hope somebody walks up and says, "Oh, what does this shit mean here? The first thing here, what is this?" You're just laying for that. You don't know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take them down gently, hit them hard, put an expression in their face, the way they act, are they arrogant? Or they look like they could be black Muslims, could be 5%. No, like, you gotta, yeah, right, it's going on in your mind. It's a piece of software. You gotta put it in access, and you look up and down and say, okay, so this one here, this is 360 questions to ask. And then that's where it starts. That's the power. You know, you're God, you're spawning things, you're giving birth to thoughts in people's minds, and you're exploding. And as you explode these things in their head, it's like when I say something to y'all, you'll go, wow. It's got boom. It's an explosion of a dead cell that's reactivated. It came back to life. Chaos in the womb. Birth, spawning, happening in the brain, which is also sitting in liquid. And as I hit you before, you take them back. While you say, I'm going to do this just way, pop this way. Set it up in the class. Bam! They go, people go, and you look, see people, they go. Pop something in their brain, and it opened up, and it can't ever close again. You follow that? But you're the dog, you're the pit bull, or the rock welder. It turns on the master. And they want to put you to sleep. You see that? Yeah? They got to stop you. They looked at Malcolm X. They said, you got to go. They looked at Dr. Martin Luther King. They said, you got to go. And you can go on to Noble Ali and all of the leaders that were a part of the human animal who became wise enough with me, they stop and say, You know why? Because dogs run in packs. And if Malcolm X would have kept going that way, he would have been by himself in a year. Articulate and charismatic as Malcolm X was, with or without the Nation of Islam doctrine, he would have went on to become a great black political leader. And maybe a president. You know what I'm saying? So their philosophy is kill him and silence it. And stop the flow of the information or the development of the information. And because they have the Tula Society, you know about them, right? And the Theosophical Society under Madame Blavatsky and them, and they've been involved with the psychic and the mind and what they call remote viewing and psychometry and voodoo and Ouija boards, and because they've been doing this all the way since the 1910s. They have sacred brotherhoods also that deal with strictly mafia power. They can focus on a group like us and send energies out, and you'll become my assassin. Sir Hans said, I don't even know why I shot him. You ever hear his side of the story? He says, I have no reason, I don't even know why I shot Bobby Kennedy. They could not make any link to any military or paramilitary group or a subversive group to why he shot Bobby Kennedy. They don't even know why. Just did. And when they get a lot of these major serial killers, which you notice they have more of between 1960 and 1990 than you ever had between 1920 and 1960. You didn't have that many serial killers back then. They have them now. Why? Because they were testing. They were testing mind control. That's what the project was. The Rainbow Project that was taking place in Montauk. That stemmed from the Philadelphia Project. What's the rainbow? The seal, the spheres. The rainbow in your scripture is the seven spheres. That's why the seven colors of the rainbow. Read your Torah. That's when they tell you about and God put a rainbow over you. This is a project, an atmosphere that you're in. You're in a dome. That's why I explained to you about the spheres last week. About biospheres, there ain't no such thing. You're in a dome. And someone is boring holes in the dome so that the poison outside can come in. In other words, if we were to move planet Earth to another planet, then we'd have what's referred to as a biosphere. We can sit it down on another planet. Because we have these seven spheres that protect us from the ultraviolet rays and the poisons outside, as long as we have a controlled environment which produces an environment suitable for us to live, we can live on another planet. Correct? But if we did this on Mars, and somebody started boring a hole into the let's call it the dome, or the spheres, or the rainbow, what would happen eventually? Okay. If the human body was supposed to stay at a basic temperature of 98.6, correct? And global warming is happening because ozone layer is thinning because someone bored a hole in it, and the greenhouse effect is taking place, so the metamorphosis between carbon monoxide and oxygen is happening quicker at night, less breathing, so the human body is breathing slower, you're breathing pumps now. People, you watch your kids go, stomach is bouncing instead of, very few people go, check yourself, you see it.
In New York City, a report to the United Nations warns that global warming is a real threat to the survival of the planet. In their first such findings since 1990, 2,500 international scientists say that they are convinced that manufactured gases trapped in the atmosphere are contributing to the greenhouse effect. As a result, glaciers and snowpacks are melting so rapidly that sea levels are rising at an alarming rate. Within the next 25 years, most beaches in the eastern United States will vanish, and at the same time, deserts worldwide will expand, gobbling up precious natural resources. The UN report calls for global alternatives to the burning of petroleum, coal, and wood. It's a tall order, but scientists point out that a similar call to action in the 1980s has now almost completely eliminated another ozone destroyer, the CFCs in aerosol cans.
Your body now stays heated sometime from the inside out. Instead of the heat hitting you and you feel heat because you put a fan on or air conditioner or change the environment, the heat is coming from the inside out. So even when you put the fan on, it just makes you sick. Because what it does is it chills the surface water that's coming from the sweat that's coming outside, and you end up with a cold. And another cold, one after another. Another cold, which makes you run to the cabinet and grab these pre-programmed drugs to put in your body, sickness, or Tylenol, Sudafed, and the likes. And all of these things are bacteria going inside. As your immune system is being broken down by the global warming, and you'll start to heat up. Now why does it affect you more than that? Why don't they mind drilling a hole in it? So they're convinced that they can seal it back. But you're black. You're melanites. So once that seal is gone, who is the sun going to hit first? Does the sun draw into black and bounce off of white, or does it draw into white and bounce off of black? Saul going up there and say, don't wear black when it's hot. It'll get double heat. So they know enough to know if they put a hole in there, in whatever dimensions, when the rays come through, it'll get you first. It gets them in the eyes first. Because the light color their eyes. So now Tamahus are having $1 million being spent on what?
Cataract surgery.
Simple than that. Simple than that. Simple than that.
I know it. Operation.
Colored contacts. They're convincing Tamahu now. They originally made color contacts for you and me. But now all the commercials are white people. We can make your eyes green or blue or brown. And Tamahus with these light eyes have to go get them so that the sun rays come and they have X-ray film put on them. They tell you to keep the sun's rays out while they send the rays in to attack us. And the reason why they want to keep our body overheated is because by overheating our bodies, they slow up our reproductive ability. Their greatest fear is we produce too fast. And they've tested our... You look at them like... You look right at you. She doesn't like that. She's actually... They have tested our abilities scholastically first. They put us on the baseball field as Jackie Robinson. What made them do that, which is really sad, he's Hitler. Hitler was God to them. Though they made like they didn't like him, they loved him. You see Richard Nixon like his hell. All president. Hitler right today. That was Hitler's move. Hitler was God to them. Because Hitler was trying to figure out how to breed a superior Caucasian race that could survive. Right? But once he did, or once he thought he had it done, he took him to the Olympics. He never thought he would encounter someone who had been bred for 400 years in slavery. When he only had one generation to breed, he came up against a man called Jesse Owens and a whole fleet of others. They only give Jesse Owens credit. If you go back and watch the whole film, a whole about 30 niggas outran him. Jesse Owens just outran him so sad that they want to kill him. I mean, Hitler blew his mind when Jesse Owens outran when he was bringing to the world, I have bred the perfect Platean, the perfect man. Blonde hair, blue eyes, North. And that's why they call those things North, or the exercise of North.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it comes from. It's named after Hitler's plan. And the nigger beat. But see, what happened is, another man, Caucasian, kidnapped these black people, took them from their own land, right, Africa, and were breeding them to work. See? That's why, if you look around this room right now, the nearest one, this brother here, and this brother here is the nearest to what a black man used to look like. Most of us walk around with size 40s, 42s, and down. Our grandfathers their shoulder span started from 44. Okay, remember your grandfather's suit jacket? Remember that shit you put on as a kid, you was in it. You know what I mean? You remember the size of his hand? Your father, they have through these chemicals in the sun, and these medicines and these pills, and our sexual appetite have shrunk us down to nothing. It's healthy to be thin now, because you're breathing less, you're taking less food, you're taking less poison, and your life will survive. It's time to lose weight, actually, but nobody's listening to me. Right? So, when Hitler's plan failed because they had bred Africans to be workhorses so they could have them out in the field all day, it created these big men. They start calling them bucks, like a male deer, a medingo, they call them. Big African. But what happened is, the white women looked over and said, hell, well, if they're that big that way, oh, happy day. What they didn't know is that the Tamahu, his gene was so weak that he was also saying, hell, if they think that way, and then the slave masters were taking black men, you follow that, and having so homosexual acts with them and pumped it into our community, something that's not written in history. And even Akhenaten was hermaphrodite, not a homosexual. Ethology was a physical effect that eventually becomes a chromosomal effect. Because anything that's in the, if you break your toe, right, and you can have a child later, your son, you can have a son he'll have a bent toe. Scientists don't understand how that happens. You know what I'm trying to say? But it can happen. If you have a broken finger, you have a son, he'll have a lump on his hand born that way, or a birthmark, because of something the mother craved when she was pregnant. She might have craved a pork chop, and baby had a pork chop on their arm. You have your baby doing a pork chop. Doesn't shape just like a pork chop. The mother had that power, that God mind, to stamp that in there. I mean, she does have something to do with the shaping of the womb. What takes place in the womb. They've also found out something else. I don't know if I told you yet. That men are only 10% of the process. 90% of the process is women in reproduction. And in actuality, the woman's body, go on this for a minute. The woman's body really wants to reject the man. It's part of our emotional conflicts. That means when the sperm cell gets into the woman, her natural antibodies that's there to defend itself sees it as something alien and goes out to destroy it. And the brain triggers a serum, right, that creates this egg and puts the baby in it to protect it from the mother itself. This is why postpartum is very interesting. A mother can kill their own child. It's something triggering the brain. Now, how they discover this? I'm not going to get you know I'm not. How they discovered it? They discovered it because they were trying to find out why human bodies reject transplants. That's where the study started. Why is it they take my heart and put it in you? Regardless of what they do, in due time, your body will reject it. No transplants have been successful. None. To date. The body always, over a period from 6 to 8 weeks, I mean, they can keep coming back in and get a boost up and keep coming back and get a boost up, but if they don't go back, it's not like they can put a new heart in and you can walk away and that's it, and everything's perfect. No.
Here in your lower abdomen.
This is an intriguing thought to patients suffering from kidney failure, like Kate Sullivan. Faced with a lifetime of dialysis, she recently had to ask someone close to her to make a difficult decision.
My sister and I are super close, and I couldn't think of anybody else that would go through the kind of surgery that it is. I mean, it's not simple, and there's a lot of pain involved and a lot of healing. And I don't think you can just ask anybody to do that.
As soon as I found out that she needed a kidney and that a living related donor would be the best one, I said that she could have mine.
The transplant was a success, and a few months later, Kate was in excellent health and well on her way to a full recovery. But Kate must still take 29 pills every day to stop her body from rejecting her sister's kidney. A kidney from her clone would be a perfect match.
If I needed a kidney and I could get one from a clone, I would definitely do it. Because the most important thing would be that you wouldn't have to take the anti-rejection medicine. Because I see what my sister's gone through, and I think that's the hardest thing about the kidney operation, is that she has to take so much medication.
And since Kate's new kidney may only last for 10 to 20 years, she may have to go through the transplant process again. At that time, human cloning may be an option.